Hey my immortal nerds, so much has happened in the last 2 years and we have seen many playstyles for the best class in Diablo Immortal, our Barbarian. Many cool builds were played and some of them definitely need a revival. Today we do exactly that. What was the coolest stuff and how can we bring this back into the current situation and meta ranking? Let's create the best build for our future selves. First and most important, our Whirlwind. 2 years ago, this was one of the go-to builds for barbarians. Mostly played with Furious Charge, as players were not that agile and dashy and didn't have 200 escapes, shields and immunities. The wall hit bad, together with the Gathering and Wrath to just control the idol and deal a good amount of damage. Bajira did some nice videos then, and it's still fun to watch them. So, what is now our plan to revive our Whirlwind? Well, the biggest challenges are: we need more damage. Whirlwind is not producing enough damage right now to actually matter. And the next thing is, we need a mechanism to catch enemies, because just one chain or anything and pulling them once to us is not enough. Whirlwind is a signature move for the Barbarian and it needs a revival. It needs to be valid in PvP. So I try to create a build here with the Whirlwind skill, of course, the Wrath, Demoralize and of course Undying Rage to work. For the Whirlwind, and here we go with new stuff and ideas. We had the challenge to catch enemies, so why not go with an essence that gives us kind of projectiles. Projectiles that get emitted while we wall and move. So that projectiles could slow the enemy constantly, we shoot them out, we have an increase of damage and slow the enemy so that we actually can whirl after enemies and they do not run away from us as they are always too fast. For the main hand we can go with some damage, and not just any damage, because we know any additional damage is nearly never enough. What we need is the Demon Hunter stuff. The pure Whirlwind now deals a primary attack damage as their Strafe is doing it. That skill is so cool and it's pushing that Strafe build heavily and it had a big time while it deals those primary attacks. We want that too. We need a Whirlwind with primary attack damage or something similar. Then it gets relevant. So we slow the enemy, we do primary attacks. Then for the chest, some utility as we had in the past, the Gathering or a stun or knockback or anything to keep the enemies in place a little bit. And a nice idea is the pants. So when you think about the Monk, the helicopter build, why not go with a pants essence that recharges our energy from the whirl so that we can whirl even longer. And we do not need to put that skill hidden into the main hand and lower the quality of the main hand, as the pants is a dead slot for any whirl build anyway. Why not go with that? Then we need the Wrath, because we need some movement speed. You could combine it with a sprint, but then we block other slots, so why not Wrath? And for the Wrath, we need now something that buffs our attack speed. It should be an also buff, like we have the Falling Thunder that deals more damage when anything bleeds. We need something that also buffs the Wrath for additional attack speed. This is a missing point and it's a key point for dealing damage with the Whirlwind. And something that buffs our damage. Maybe a new essence that goes on damage and crit damage, but maybe just for continual damage. So Wrath, especially for cleaving, whirling and anything, that would be nice. So that helps us. And then lastly, immunity. Whirlwind is useless without any immunity. And even the seed set, forget it, that 6-piece bonus, it's crap. We need a full immunity. We need our Demoralize helmet with that big AoE splash and that immunity that you can cast anytime. And then you can even go with that new main hand that even buffs the crit chance, because we didn't have any slot for the crit chance and this could be a cool thing here. We have attack speed, we have movement speed, we have crit, we have immunity, we have a high damage on the whirl and even some utility to catch enemies. That would be an awesome Whirlwind build, and if you give us that, everyone would play it. Think about it. Second build that we played for quite some time, primary attack build. Together with Demoralize immunity, we slayed our enemies good. It was before the savior pets and before evasion and block chance was a real thing. Yeah, it was still clumsy. Furious Charge step by step failed us with bad aiming, and primaries didn't hit pretty well when every other class got so goddamn fast. So finally it was dropped again. I started with my first more professional videos at that time. It was a great time before we lost the battle versus all other classes and met that crazy year of shame, until then finally the Flickerstone saved us and brought Barb back to the table. So what is needed to come back to a great primary build? Primary attack is still the main damage source in Diablo Immortal. There are some resolve metas and anything, but every high DPS build is always focused around some main primary attack. So we do not just need this for PvP, this is required for PvE as well. For PvE, the Barbarian has such a low damage compared to any other class that we are lacking. We really are lacking. We need more PvE damage, and for that we need a really cool DPS build for PvE. We are still using the same one since nearly 1 year. So please give us something for primary attack. For PvP especially, what we need to make a real good build, we need a gap closer to our enemies. We need to get to them to actually hit our primary attacks. And it could be nice here to improve the damage a little bit by the hits we are actually dealing. So when we think about Firestorm, the Firestorm combination is a huge damage improvement. We have new sets for that and anything. So for our primary attack build, please give it to us that we can deal Firestorm damage. This build I'm showing you here is focused around Wrath, the Sunder, the Stomp and Undying Rage, and of course a primary attack. And we start with that primary attack, in this case with the Frenzy, because Lacerate is the main thing now. No one is using Frenzy anymore, it's just dealing not enough damage. So I said let's do it with Frenzy, just because I want that skill back. We go with the main hand, and this is a key point. Think about the Monk. The Monk has it in his belly. He can do on his primary attacks do a little dash to the enemy so that he closes the gap to the enemy. Just a little dash with his primary attack hit to dash to them and then do some crazy stuff. We need the same. Of course, the Barbarian is not built with that. He shouldn't have it as an automation or anything. It's a Monk thing. But to have a working primary attack build, you need to be able to reach the enemy. We need that too. We need a main hand that enables us with a short dash to the enemy and a little knockback, knock up or anything. To the same enemy maybe only once every 3 seconds or something. Give us anything that lowers the quality, but we need to get to them without, and this is a key point, without sacrificing a skill slot. If we need a skill slot for that, a dash, Furious Charge dash or anything, we lose the battle and damage again. We need that open slot. Okay, we empower the main hand with some wind blades. That's the next thing. So think about the cool primary attacks builds we have for the Barbarian. It's always with the Gloom Cask that blades. It's with the Frenzy, the old build that emits some blades. Those things were working until the Lacerate was boosted. So we still want our blades back, and we want to have them as wind blades so that we can create Firestorm damage by ourselves. For the offhand, some damage booster like we had in the past, that's essential to make the Frenzy work again. Next skill, Wrath. Now we take the Sundered Legacy, our classic Wrath Fire Aura, to start our Firestorm attacks, to make use of any wildfire set to just increase our damage. In addition, the old Wrath Shoulder that boosts our primary attacks with additional attacks for everything we do. So nothing like every second you do something, I don't know. No stuff like this. We need scaling damage. With every attack we do, we get something in addition. This is what we need, okay? No crazy timings. And then we go to the third part, the Sunder. There is already something happening for the Sunder with the chest that can increase the duration of the Sunder. This is pretty cool, combined with the primary attack. And now we need something that really works. we need on the pants essence, it's an open slot here, we need a knock up skill. This is important, a knock up skill that increases our damage. So nothing like a Furious Charge, a big thing that has only 2 charges and you need to aim or anything. We want to dash with our primary attack. We want to hit that skill frequently, a cooldown 2 or 3 seconds only, or even an automatic that knocks our enemy up and holds them a bit in that position that we can actually do something. Okay, and then we want to deal more damage, like with the old Furious Charge where we had the chest essence to boost our damage. But it needs to be automatically. We cannot aim. No aiming, please. And then the Thunder will work. And then with the duration of each primary attack, it actually makes sense because barbs do not have a high potency. We cannot keep a reduction of armor up for 2 or 3 seconds. No fucking chance. We need something to boost it to make it happen. So it could work nicely with such a chest. And then the last, why not get something new? Okay, because we are not tanky then. We fully depend on our Undying Rage. And this is something that will not work because then just play Tempest, you know? But if we now go with our Stomp, if we use that whole create a stone wall, do something stony or anything, and go more into a different direction where we say, okay, let's create kind of a stone armor or anything. Kind of you have a stone armor around you that makes you immune to the next 5 hits, to the next 5 knockbacks, to the next 5 whatsoever, even with some damage reduction on them, or just as the wizard has. He has that cool skill where with that 5 ice thingies around him that reduces count as a shield. It takes up to 50k damage or something, and he can move freely with that. So something like this would be really, really nice for our barbarian. And that's mainly it. The key players are the short dash and the wind blades to improve the primary attack damage with Firestorm. Up to 70% more damage, you know, it's the thing we actually need to be relevant as primary attack damage dealers. And then of course it can have a lot of funny stuff around it. With some shields, we definitely need some kind of immunity, and we don't want to have always just that wrath shoulder. It's okay, a good thing, we can go with it, but it's a good position to start with something new. And finally, Undying Rage, the one and only skill that makes us barbarians. 6 months ago, probably, with the Ancestor Steely, we had many playstyles that made whales unkillable and small resonance players into a real benefit for the team. A barb was always good to have, but then the nerf. Builds focused around Undying Rage were wasted, since it didn't push the idol anymore when active. Still, we want our idol focus back. We want our builds back. We want to own the idol. We are Undying. Undying was always cool, but honestly, it is unchanged since the start of the game. It has no crazy new mechanic. Yeah, some damage here and there, some movement speed here and there, or counter attacks or whatever, but come on, that's really not enough. And why do we need an Undying build? Because it's PvP idol focus. We are nearly the only class with that high idol focus. Yes, there's a Crusader, and Crusaders are nice for that as well, but Crusaders are more the supporter for the backline, moving to the idol, backline again. Currently they have a huge damage roll, of course, but we are the pushers, okay? It's our job. Don't take our job from us. So we want a redemption for that idol nerf, and we finally need a new playstyle for the Undying Rage. I built something that could actually work around the Wrath, Cleave, Change, and of course the Undying. First, Undying. We still need our Ancestor Steely. That 1 second in addition, that really could bring us into an even more tankier position. And give it to us on the pants, okay? Something like increase the duration for every crit hit that we do while in the Undying Rage. That could be something nice. It's not just automatically, you need to do something for it. Why not? Okay, and then go with the new head essence. Why head essence? Because you can do the head essence, use that slot, and can then still decide if you go for the pants or if you use it for a different build, because it's a crucial slot position. Okay, so my idea, an untargetable skill. So we go into that Undying Rage, we are not targetable anymore. And we kind of emit waves, I don't know, to push back the enemies a bit, to bring us a little bit of utility. But the key point is we heal while we in that Undying Rage. So we can go into the idle, we can do our fight until we hit the Undying Rage. And then we can't be hit anymore, we heal up and come back. And this is the point. Right now, only the biggest whales can benefit from the Undying Rage in that kind of way, with the Roar of the Perseveration, with a heavy damage hammer output. This helmet, like this, could bring that possibility to all of the players for Barbarians. So even small resonance players can jump into the idle, they can die there, go into the Undying, ramp up 50% of their HP again and keep on battling. That would be even better than just letting them die without any gain of that life leech. And on top of that, we can even utilize that whole I'm not actively targetable, but I can still do damage behavior. So first we go with a Wrath, of course, because we need movement speed and some kind of immunity to walk around a bit, so all shoulders. But for the offhand, give us something new, please. Even for the bleed, because the bleed was pushed on the Barbarian, but it wasn't good enough and dropped again with just a little damage push from the Falling Thunder. Give us a new offhand here that gives us a bleed aura. So it's same as the Firestorm or a Sundered Legacy Fire Aura, we need something with bleed, stacking bleed maybe. The longer we are around the enemies, it can stack 2 or 3 times. That would be awesome. And then we go with a cleave. A cleave main hand that actually doesn't need to be triggered. It could be an aura or anything. And everyone around us in a larger radius, like a demoralized radius of that Terror helmet, that big range, you know it, gets actively attacked by axes just because they are bleeding. So anyone that hits us, comes into our aura, gets a bleed, runs away, still gets hit by axes that we emit on the bleed effect that is on them. And then combined with an offhand that even everyone that is affected by our cleave and by our bleeds gets a crit hit debuff. So it takes a higher critical hit chance from everyone, like the Wrath, the Whirlwind shoulders we had. That would be nice. So we get our crit hit, we get our passive damage. While we are in the Undying, are not targetable, still people around us are bleeding and actively receiving that damages from that axis. So we get kind of idle control. We are in the idle, we die there, we still deal damage, we annoy that idle as long as we can, even if we don't push it because of that damn Undying nerf. But at least we are damaging it heavily. And this is where I want to come, and we finalize it with the main hand, with our Lacerate that has a bleed again. And now the point, some chest essence, some spears with a pushback. We had pushbacks in the past, really cool essences here, and I want that pushback back, but now with the damage. I want damage, and you can combine it with that nice bleed thing. Make it deals more damage up to 70%. Something like our hammer, if you think about it. It needs to be charged by actively hits. Now why not make a spear that deals more damage when the enemy is charged with 2, 3 or 4 bleeds on them, stacking bleeds, and then deals that heavy blow but pushes the enemy out of the idle. This is what I want. I want an idle control build back. So the main players are of course that had essence and pants essence around that Undying Rage new playstyle, because we really earn a new playstyle for Undying Rage as a Barbarian. It's time for it. Please give it to us. Yes, that were the 3 builds we want back to tackle our biggest challenges as Barbarians. So please, DI devs, listen to our desires. Please make it happen that we can play our most beloved playstyles again. If you have more ideas and want to add your 5 cents, let's meet in the DI Discord or in Nickel's Discord to fill those barb channels with our gibberish until they listen and give us what we actually want. So, thanks guys for watching. If you liked this video, please show it to me. And as always, subscribe to get more content like this. See you.